right. Well, let's see what you guys are talking about out there. We got Cannon Barnes here who says, y'all's thoughts on Arnold Schwarzenegger's response to the View panel, and I thought he did a great job not falling in their trap. Well, that was because he was a man and wouldn't let them speak over him. Did you see that shit, Andre?
I did see the whole thing, and evidently so did Paulie, because he had a great imitation of it.
Yeah.
But for those in the audience who haven't seen it, what we are talking about is Arnold Schwarzenegger appearing on The View. Now, of course, it's a point against him that he's appearing on The View in the first place, but given that he is there, he handled himself pretty well, because he was baited by the hosts to come out against ICE and against the current deportations that are going on. That's what they were hoping. They were hoping that he was going to say, oh yeah, I'm an immigrant, I'm an illegal, we're all illegals, and shut down ICE. That's what they were hoping for. But he didn't say that. Instead, yeah, Tommy, you have the clip. Let's hear what he said.
Yeah, you may have to clip it out. I don't remember. I have to look at last night to see if I got it nailed myself. But it's ABC. So anyway, which one is this one? Not Whoopi 3? I don't know. On the left here.
That's Joy Behar.
Yeah, that's about how important the rest of them are besides Whoopi to me. They're all not Whoopi besides Whoopi.
Well, they're Joy Behar, and they're all complete and total radicals, and they're political nincompoops.
This is true. Were you going to say something, Scribe?
No, I was just saying radical. Sorry, I don't.
Oh, radical.
Radical.
Okay, gotcha. Radical. All right, so here's the clip.
So if you are an immigrant, you're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you?
No, I'm not. I'm not an immigrant. What makes you think that?
What gave you away?
I'm a good neighbor.
A visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the
just pause it for 1 second.
I'm so proud.
Because look at what they were asking. Like, did you have a visceral reaction? Like, can you imagine if that was you? Because you're an illegal, so of course you have to be able to imagine that ICE comes and knocks down the door to kick you out. No, this guy is about as legal an immigrant as they came. I mean, he had a job and everything like that before. Like, it was all on the books. Everything was perfectly okay. He was in no way, shape, or form an illegal immigrant. He came to America before he learned English, but he came in legally. He learned English. He did everything by the book. So the chance of him ever being evicted and him ever being able to imagine being manhandled by ICE that way is non-existent. So let's hear what he had to say.
Oh, sorry.
Or Scribe.
Oh, real quick, I was just going to say, and also the way that they pose the question does something that I always find annoying, is they conflate two completely different demographics, legal immigrants and illegal immigrants.
Oh, that's
and just say the word immigrant, and that somehow just goes by the wayside because these are different situations.
And that's how not Whoopi falls into this trap here with him. Because here's the thing I recommend. If you haven't seen his documentary on Netflix or read his book, specifically read his book. Because Andre knows what I'm talking about. This man was self-made before he even was a star, right? Because Andre's right. He came over here. He had himself. He was so clever and intelligent. He got into real estate and a bunch of other stuff with his like bodybuilding winnings and stuff like that before he ever became a movie star. So if that would have never happened, he'd have been fine, right? So when he says he loves America, he's not kidding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This guy was a self-made millionaire before he ever was in any movie. And he could never have done it in Austria.
And he manufactured his entire career, basically. Like, he sat down and said, this is what I'm going to do, and he did it.
In Austria, he would have been some other random dude.
Yeah. So anyhow, I don't think they did their research on him, and when they asked this question is what I was getting at.
And happy. That I was impressed by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created. All of this is because of America.
I got to ask Andre, because I know you know the answer to this. What was his answer to immigration when he was governor?
I do believe that he was of the opinion that immigration is fine, but it has to be legal. Am I completely way
No,
off
he was going to
there?
build a wall.
He was going to build a wall. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, that's a different way of putting it, but yes, the ladies of the View evidently didn't know that. So basically,
No, he doesn't bring that up here, but
build
that's
a wall. He wanted to build a wall then before Orange
For
Man
Trump
had it.
did, yeah.
Nice. So basically, Trump ripped off Arnold.
Kind of. Because it was a problem when he was in office too, right? So that was a lot of this stuff was in like, well, that's the problem that we're dealing with now is a lot of this stuff was overlooked for so many years. And Paulie, I think you've addressed this before too, that's part of the problem is you've had a lot of these people who have been here illegally now and built lives for so long. And that's part of where they're griping. But it's like, well, why didn't you just go through that stuff in the first place instead of staying here all these years? But it's half of, the government's fault for not doing what their job was all this time. But anyhow.
It's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and it is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do
Can we just stop real quick?
On July 4th.
So, just in regards to him saying being a proud American, being a proud immigrant, like, I wish there was like different camera angles on all the co-hosts, because you could probably see their eyes and their hair like just like fuming, like, the flames coming out, because they don't even like to hear that. They don't even like to hear that. And this has got, you could put on any of the issues, like take out immigration, put it, gun violence or, wars or whatever. And when someone says that, it's like, to them, those are fighting words.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out. It's just like,
yeah,
just by him saying that, like, that's a victory.
I would love to have seen their faces. You're right, because from here on out, they keep trying to like overstep him for the next.
They put his hand on him.
Yeah, they like,
enough,
Arnold. Shut up now. That's my favorite part.
They're like, oh, they're like acting like, oh, you need to be quiet now. Like, yeah, that's enough. That's enough. But, yeah.
I almost got the sense that as soon as he shifts away and starts talking about, following the rules, they almost behave as though, and this is just my sense, that, Grandpa's going off again.
Yep.
Okay, obviously Arnold's off in La La Land. Okay, you're saying things out of turn now. We have to stop you before you hurt yourself or something.
Yeah, and this is what hurts them. I believe they actually do this live. So, am I not mistaken? Do they not show this show live?
Well, if they didn't, they wouldn't have to make all of these like legal corrections.
I was going to say, because that's why they can't
true.
just cut this shit out, right? Yeah. Like that was the point I was getting to.
He's not saying anything wrong.
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
To them it is, but
no, this is, like I said, because what they represent is what that whole side is, how they're framing the argument and what they're willing to die on the hill for.
Yeah.
It's not going to come out. They're not going to get that outcome that they want. It's not happening.
I love the fact how he just led them to that point. He said everything that was absolutely true about his own background, everything that you would hope, and especially when he's like, he goes along with the idea of being just quote unquote an immigrant without any other qualification, and how the country embraced me and everything else. And that sort of leads you to think, well, if you're coming from their perspective, that's what we want. We want the country to embrace, because they shouldn't be policing, etc. and so forth. And then comes the turn, and they completely lose it. You hear them gasp, and they go, It's hilarious.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Arnold Schwarzenegger was never a normal immigrant. He was a huge star before he came to America. He was the poster child for bodybuilding. He was the greatest bodybuilder to ever walk the face of this earth in history, ever, before he ever set foot in America. So he was someone that was pretty unique for that. And then he had his charm and everything like that. He was able to make himself a star. So by the time he, I've heard people say that when he became a public figure, it was like an alien landed on Earth. So he
Yeah.
was never normal in that sense.
No, I mean, he kind of created a new kind of movie star. And we're still, to this day, I mean, Statham is like the legacy example, right? He paved that kind of way. I mean, yeah, Sly Stallone was before him, and you had Charles Bronson and your Clint Eastwoods and all that before. But Schwarzenegger was one of the first guys where, I mean, it was kind of like, reminiscent of John Wayne, right? Like, he's only going to play certain roles. He doesn't really act.
Well, he was the John Wayne of a new generation.
Exactly. Like,
He
in a
was
sense
he
that,
was the John Wayne of the 80s, and he was the one that basically, yeah, Schwarzenegger, like Stallone, he was buff before, but he really packed on the pounds after Schwarzenegger set the template. When you look at Stallone,
right.
from First Blood to Rambo 3, that's pretty night and day difference. And the
Yeah.
one who's pushing that's Schwarzenegger. He's the one he kind of like has to compete with there.
Yeah, you said something about you come from another planet. He really was like a walking action figure with a completely impenetrable accent, and yet people still glommed onto it, and he did a great job. Plus, the fact that, he didn't take himself too seriously, especially in some of the roles he did and some of the things he did in some of those movies.
The brilliant one was Cactus Jack, also known as the villain, which is one where he completely played into the stereotype. Huge muscles, dumb brute. So he played with the stereotype, and he had people underestimate him for that. So
and
basically,
I think another like the way they on the other side have framed it in regards to all this is that the assimilation of learning English is a bad thing, and this is another example of him. I don't think he spoke any English. Correct me if I'm wrong. When he got
he didn't. He had to learn English when he came to America. Was the first thing he did was to learn English. Then he went to business classes and everything like that, so that not only could he speak English, he could start his own enterprise. So he started like his mail order business and stuff like that, working with Wider and the bodybuilding thing. Yeah. And then he started a bricklaying company on top of that. So he started multiple businesses. This is before he was famous outside bodybuilding circles. It was after that he kind of like became part of the it crowd. But by that point, he was already self-made.
A big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the...
Did you hear that gas?
Yeah, uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the hand to come out and put on his.
It's
arm.
all the air just got sucked out of that
Sonny
studio.
Hostin. That's Sonny Hostin. That is
Yes.
to his right. I mean, Tom, of all of the non-Whoopi Goldbergs, there are two more non-Whoopi Goldbergs who are famous. One is Joy Behar, who's been talking up till this point, and then it is Sonny Hostin, whose husband is in legal trouble and maybe RICO'd because I don't know exactly, like he's in trouble basically, and she may be as well, but that's neither here nor there.
So not Whoopi Goldberg. Gotcha.
Yeah,
important thing, so you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart
Oh, man.
Well, that depends. They may be very smart, but they're not doing things legally. I mean,
Yeah.
problem is when they're smart and criminals. But anyway, carry on, Polly.
I'd just like to add too with the audience, and I'm sure everyone knows this, is that we're not just hearing from like a movie star, who bodybuilder, American success story, dream, American dream, yes, all that, but he was also a governor, very popular governor in California. So it's not like he's just talking out of his butt. This is sage. These are sage words, and this young generation always talks about their ancestors, and we got to be in tune with our ancestors. How about the living ancestors? How about the generations right before us, or maybe two before us, that have really forged and really paved their way to make your lives a little easier? Why don't you listen to them? Why don't you give them respect? Give them the time. Give them the energy. Heed their words. But right now, this is the time of we're just acting on emotion. We're letting the situation get the very best of us. This is fantastic.
All right, you want me to keep going then?
Yes, keep going. Yeah.
Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do.
For two things. First, as the person here with the accent that's traveling a lot around the world, I agree 100% with what he's saying. Maybe I'm slightly different because I'm Norwegian, which is a fairly civilized country all in all, but every single time when I travel abroad, I see myself a little bit as something of an ambassador, not for the country at large, but I know that every single negative interaction I have with somebody, that's going to be thinking like, oh, those fucking Norwegians. So I always try to be on my best behavior, not just because that's the decent things to do, but I'm representing a little bit more than just myself in the interaction with others. So what he's saying is exactly right. You want to respect the place that you are, wherever that place may be, even if it's a place that some people might refer to as a shithole. Even when you're there, you still follow the local customs, and you, apart from the negative ones, you basically just be on your best behavior. To me, that's self-evident and it's self-obvious. The other thing is, for those who are only listening, here we now have the arm of Sonny Huston about to reach Arnold, saying, shut up, enough now.
Yeah, laying hands on him while he's speaking. I mean, it is not exactly a violent gesture or anything, but it is so insane to me.
It's a controlling gesture.
Yeah, it's a controlling gesture. It's also when, like I said, this is part of the reason why I was kind of like, this feels like something if you were at the dinner table and suddenly Grandpa starts going off on something because he's lost his mind. Suddenly you're like, wait a second, Grandpa, maybe better. That's the sensation I got watching this the first time, and it is the height of disrespect. Even though it is such a small gesture, it is the height of disrespect.
But see,
this is true.
And I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, Paulie. I was just.
And I agree with Scribe too, but look at Arnold's resolve. I think any other weenie dude that they usually have would have that touch would have thrown that person off. Oh, did I offend? Oh, I'm sorry. And then there would have been this apology moment. Arnold's resolve. He doesn't even pause, man. Homeboy just keeps talking. Good for
him.
And he kind of has this air about him where he's confident, but it almost feels like he knows he's not supposed to say these things. Do you get that out of it too? Is it just me or?
But he also knows it's the right thing to say.
Right.
Because even if he is in LA, he obviously sees the more extreme reactions. He is smart enough that he knows perfectly well where the sentiment of the people is. He knows that people are still pissed about him for what he said during the lockdowns.
Screw your freedom thing.
The screw your freedom thing. He has apologized for that since. I think this may not deliberately be his apology tour for that, but I think it kind of doubles down a little bit, because this is him basically speaking common sense again.
Well, and he knew exactly the lion's den he was going into coming into this the show, and he knew he'd be asked this. He's not a dumb guy, and so he gave the most honest answer possible. And yet they can't contain themselves. They just can't control themselves. They can't allow for just even the most reasoned, whether you agree with it or not, reasoned alternate argument or contrary opinion to occur without some attempt to stop it, and that's what that hand represents.
And
Right,
also, carry on, Tom.
No, go ahead, Andre. You're fine.
Yeah. And also just notice that what he's saying is basically he's not saying anything extreme here. He's saying something that everyone can agree with, which basically is that, yeah, of course, there's going to be some level of immigration. And the immigrants that come, they have to respect where they arrive to. That's what he did. This is what he talks all about. So he isn't saying, no, we can't have any immigration, because by tacitly he's saying, yeah, there's going to be some immigration, but in those cases, people have to behave. They have to do things the legal way. That's what he did. Why should anyone else be given a free pass?
Yeah, well, all I was going to say is, yeah, I agree with you, Scribe, that the way these talk shows are set up is they do know going in an idea of what they're going to talk about. Right? Like, he knew he was going to be asked the question, setting him up for the Mount Vernon thing, right? But what they didn't know, and why I think he's kind of got this slight shake when he's talking about some of this stuff, is he knows he's not supposed to be saying this shit. So I think he didn't say this in the preliminary interview stuff because he was saving it for here live because he knew he couldn't get away with it then. It's almost like he's well aware of this stuff. The way he's kind of... Now, I'm not trying to read into it too much, but it's like, you can tell the way that his voice is, the way he's talking about this, the way they're trying to shut him down. He's well aware of the situation. Does that make sense? Like, I agree with you. Like, this was set up for the Mount Vernon question, and he went off on this tangent that he wasn't meant to go on about doing immigration legally. And that's their own mistake. But I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on that. But,
well, it's complex, man. You know, but I'd say let's keep watching the video.
Rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics.
They're trying to interrupt. But
I know, and I wish there was more of this. I wish there was more of this, and this is what I'm saying. Yes, it does seem prepared. That's what I'm getting at. Is it feels like Schwarzenegger knew he was going to do this. But there's no way he told their producers this is what he was going to say, or they wouldn't have let it happen. That's my point.
They opened it up by saying, you know, you're an immigrant. I mean, didn't this all start with Joy Behar opening the door?
And like I said, the question was set up for him to talk about the Mount Vernon thing, which if you notice, he's all kind of calm and collected there, and then he starts jumping to this other stuff. That's when they start freaking out. And that's what I was saying is like the other stuff he talked about with their producer or whoever it is that runs their preliminary stuff with, this stuff he did not. That's my point, what I was getting at before.
You know what this reminds me of? Woody Harrelson on Saturday Night Live. When he said that he was going to do and say one set of things, and then he was live in front of the cameras, and he said something else entirely about mandates and stuff like that. That had the people freak out completely, and he'll probably never be invited back to that show again. I think it's the same thing here. I think you are 100% on the money. He knew what he was going to say. He knew he was going to be asked. And the giveaway is Joy Behar asking about a visceral reaction. Don't you feel physically horrified? Like, doesn't this remind you of your Yahtzee past, since your dad was in the local Yahtzee party and stuff like that? But no, he did something else entirely. I think that he stayed on his script, but the script that he shared with them was not the one that he kept for himself and intended to use.
Yes.
That makes
And
sense.
that was my point I was trying to make before in my rambling. That
Yeah.
But yeah, so if somebody has a clip of what was said after this, I would love to hear their but response to this. So yeah, if somebody wants to hook me up with that, that'd be great. But yeah, Paulie, I'm gonna give you the final word on this. But Scribe, Andre, anything else you want to say about Schwarzenegger's moment on The View?
Well, I'm ready to look more past the screw your freedom bit after this. So job well done.
Yeah,
Scribe?
I can see that.
Yeah, no, completely reasonable and reasoned comments by him, and the View hosts just are. I mean, I'm not surprised, I suppose, but I tell you, that hand, that hand just really gets me.
Yeah.
Paulie,
Yeah.
final words.
Final words. He did go on to say that he wants immigration reform, and the reason he wants Republicans and Democrats to stop playing politics with this, to stop citing party, and to work together to get this done. And he's absolutely right, because both parties over the last 30 years are really to blame here, accelerated by the Democratic presidents of Obama and Biden, of course, in my opinion. So, pretty sage words. And, one more thing is everyone talks about separating families, which, listen, it's heavy to see. You do a little bit more research and you find out what's going on. No one talks about how legal families that come here have to separate before they even get here. Romy's family was from Brazil, Portugal. She's the only one born here. Her family had to separate because half the family could only afford so much as far as legal status. They came here for a few years. Her brothers and sisters were left in Portugal for 2-3 years. Then finally they're all reunited. So no one talks about that because there's a lot of hardship on that side. And that's why people who have done this legally have so much resentment. I mean, when I say this is a complex thing, man, this is a complex thing. And then you add in a shared culture, it becomes even more complex because, and really fast, the left of Latinos are really trying to shame people who are to the center or to the right. That's not gonna solve anything. How is that gonna solve abolishing ICE? Like going after your own people who disagree with you? That's absolutely bonkers. No one's taken these leaders to task locally, statewide, and federal. We got a senator who happens to be Latino crying on the Senate floor. That's the leader you want? That's what you're hedging your bets on? It's very complex. I know people who are here illegally. I'll just say that, man. I'll just say that. But yeah, Andre, no one talks about, these families that are, they choose to come here and they have to literally rip their family apart until they're reunited many years later.
Yeah, that's history. That's how America was populated in the first place.
But anyway.
I wish Arnold would have just told her to shut the fuck up because he knows what he's talking about. I really would listen to this shit.
Don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to
and
commit crimes.
And it's and a lot of what's
I
happening
hate how she's
right
talking
now,
down
He's
to him.
drinking.
He's like,
who shouldn't be snatched out.
He's like,
of the country.
shut
People
up.
who have visas, people who have all those things.
So yeah, I hated the way that Not Whoopi was talking down to him there too. It was just like, they're less likely to commit crime. Don't you know that, you stupid?
It's an upside down argument, right, Andre?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's not how I would, anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when she says, I'm sure 90% of the people that come here only want to do good. Well, okay, fine. Let us grant that 90% of the people coming actually want to do good. 90%. That's a really big number. I'm not sure about the accuracy of that, but let's just grant that. That means that 10% of people that are coming in are up to no good. How many people came into America during the Biden years? What, 10 million? If 10% of those were up to no good, that means 1 million people were up to no good.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.